Hi everyone, this is me Jyotika Bedi, founder of Happiness is Love. We make relationships better. Today I'm going to talk to you about emotional regulation. Are you aware of the healthy emotional regulation strategies? Let's discover them together. First, let us understand what is emotional regulation, because nobody really teaches us. And because I really wanted to learn, I thought I'd make this video where we can learn, grow, and share together. So what can you do to make your emotions more manageable? I would like to share some science-backed, high-impact emotional regulation strategies that you can start using right now. Whether you're a parent, a professional, a teacher, a teenager, young adult, this video is for one and for all. So what is emotional regulation? Emotional regulation is defined as the ability to affect one's own emotional state. It can involve either increasing positive emotions or decreasing negative emotions, or let's say both. Generally, it involves changing our thoughts or behaviors, sometimes in conscious and sometimes in unconscious ways. For example, you can focus on the silver lining or remove yourself from a difficult situation to regulate your emotions. When you regulate your emotions with healthy strategies, you feel better and can quickly recover from any stressful experience. Now, is emotional regulation the same as emotion control? Controlling our emotions is one way to regulate, manage, or change our emotions, but it is not the only way. Accepting our emotions or doing something non-emotional are other ways to change our emotions without directly trying to control them. In fact, emotional control may not always work and may not always be beneficial. For example, certain types of emotional control, such as suppressing our feelings, repressing our feelings, hiding, blocking, or fighting our feelings, can actually have a long-term negative impact on our well-being. So what is the impact of emotional regulation? Generally, emotional regulation strategies make us feel better in a short term, but not all emotional regulation strategies also make you feel better in the long term. For example, drinking alcohol is pretty effective short-term emotional regulation strategy. It makes us feel good, right? But it often makes us feel worse in the long term, especially if we are using it to manage emotions that we can't effectively manage with healthy strategies. So that is why it is very important to learn the healthy strategies, and I'm here to share with you. So the healthy emotional regulation strategies simply are: number one, self-awareness. Self-awareness is sometimes considered as emotional regulation strategy in itself. More often it is a thought of, it is useful. It is useful because, for example, when we know we have an emotion to regulate, awareness of that emotion makes it easy for us to engage in healthy emotional regulations. If we are not self-aware or not aware of our own emotions, we may still engage in emotional regulation. However, we do so in ways that don't always work well. For example, maybe we yell at people when we're sad. They get mad at us, and then we only feel more sad and worse. Or you may so subconsciously be telling yourself, why did I get so drunk last night? Oh yeah, we were really feeling bad about a workplace conflict. Next, acceptance. Emotional acceptance is the ability to experience your emotions without judging them or having meta-emotional or secondary thoughts or emotions about your initial emotion. There is some debate in the field about whether acceptance is even an emotional regulation strategy. In some ways, it is the lack of regulation. You just let your emotions be as they are and they spontaneously disappear on their own. I would argue that acceptance is indeed emotional regulation, because just accepting our emotions is not our natural mode of operating, because our social influences, our cultural influences, our parenting, our upbringing, we automatically judge our emotions, especially emotions like anger and sadness. And women tend to judge themselves more for feeling angry. Men tend to judge themselves more for feelings of sadness. For these reasons, acceptance takes conscious effort for most of us. We have to acknowledge, accept, and allow ourselves to feel our entire range of emotions. I just made a video on mindfulness yesterday, and Third strategy is mindfulness. Please go on to our YouTube channel and see our mindfulness video to get more details on how mindfulness acts as an effective strategy. Mindfulness is thought to be the combination of both awareness and acceptance. Mindfulness can be an effective way to regulate our emotions, particularly to induce calm and relaxation. Mindfulness is super popular these days as it's shown to have a positive impact on all aspects of our well-being. However, mindfulness is a difficult skill to learn and doesn't appear to work well for everyone. For example, people who struggle with rumination should use caution when doing mindfulness and seek the support of an expert. And that is why we are here for you. If you are struggling with any aspect, we are here to help you, to support you, give you the tools and the techniques so that you can enjoy overall happiness and well-being. Number 4, emotional memory. Memorizing and recalling positive words forces your mind to activate the regions associated with these words. So memorizing positive words can help strengthen the brain's regions responsible for positive concepts, memories, and ideas. As a result, these concepts may be more accessible in your day-to-day life. Overall, you may train your brain to have slightly more positive emotions, or when it comes times to regulate your emotions in response to something negative, your brain will be more effective in doing so. So like I say, our words command our mind and our mind commands our body. And if we use positive words, to train our mind will use effective ways to deal with the situation and reframe that situation in a positive way so that you feel positive and can take positive action. Number 5, emotional attention. Another way to change how we experience emotion is to redirect our attention towards the positive. If we are focusing on the bad things in the situation, we can shift instead to focusing on something else or pay attention to the less threatening parts of the situation. Research shows that our attention, in fact, can be trained. One study trained participants to focus on neutral instead of threatening faces in a computerized task, and in this training the results were significant and helped reduce social anxiety. Next is positive reappraisal. The distinctions between positive and negative appraisals or reappraisals are not entirely clear from any research, but generally positive reappraisal is a thought to involve reframing an experience in a positive way. For example, let's say that you lost your job. A positive reappraisal might be, in this situation, would be to push yourself, help you rebuild your own business that you always wanted to do, or start a startup that you always dreamt of. So this is a beautiful opportunity to learn from one's experience and use positive framing in an event that can increase your positive emotions. Self-distancing. Another way to regulate your emotions, and I use this a lot, is to look at a situation as if you were a fly on the wall or as if you were someone else who is witnessing the situation from far. These days we are so immersed in our experiences, what we feel, what we think, even what we have for dinner. But it turns out that emotionally distracting yourself from your experience and looking at it from an outsider's perspective helps you from getting stuck in the negative emotions. As a result, you don't feel quite as bad even when you really do. Next, savoring. I just made a video a week ago on savoring. Savoring is about mentally holding on to positive emotions we get in our day-to-day lives. Too often we let the good moments, the positive, happy micro moments pass by without truly savoring or celebrating them. When we learn to savor these moments, and as parents, if we practice it and our children will model us and mirror us, we pause and attempt to fully experience the rainbow of positive emotions that have arisen in that moment. We tend to regulate our emotions and experience more long-lasting positive feelings. It is very, very powerful and very, very effective. I would encourage you to start practicing savoring from today so that you, your family, your workplace can thrive and enjoy the experience of the positive emotion. Gratitude, my most favorite and the most powerful of all positive emotions. Gratitude is simple thankfulness. When we express gratitude, we not only make ourselves feel good, we make others feel good too. Gratitude appears to increase positive emotions in both short and long term by improving the quality of our relationships. Next, and the most important, is growth mindset. The belief that you can grow and improve, often referred as growth mindset, has a surprisingly big impact on your ability to reach your goals. In fact, the more you believe that you can improve and learn and build skills, the more likely it is for you to improve and grow and be your bestest, grandest self. And this is the work that we do at Happiness is Love, where we believe that together we can learn and grow to be our grandest selves. Next, opposition action. Opposite action is an emotional regulation strategy. When you're feeling a certain way, we tend to act in ways that are congruent with those feelings. By acting in the opposite way, we begin to shift our mood to the opposite as well. This is very, very powerful. Last, distraction. Distraction can be a helpful emotional regulation strategy when used properly. There are all kinds of unhealthy ways to distract ourselves, but some types of distraction can be beneficial. One good example is exercising. If you're sad or upset, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay for you to not feel upbeat. Exercising is a good distraction that helps you feel better, both in short and long term. Another distraction, a good distraction when you're feeling anxious, is to take a cold shower or go for a walk. This helps activate your body and your mind, and you feel rested and rejuvenated. So distractions can be used effectively too when done well. Now, what are some of the unhealthy emotional regulation strategies? Unhealthy emotional regulation strategies are those that help us feel better in the moment, but tend to have a negative long-term effect. They usually help us feel better now, but these effects don't last, and often we feel worse later because we've not entirely addressed the emotion. Number one, rumination. Rumination is when we think over something again and again and again. Rumination and worry are often used to help us regulate or manage our emotions. We think incorrectly that thinking or worrying about our issues will help us actually solve it. In fact, I laugh and say that worrying is like sitting on a rocking chair where it's giving you something to do but not taking you anywhere. That's why I believe it's an ineffective emotional regulation strategy. It actually doesn't help you reduce our emotions in the short or long term. Next is substance abuse. Drugs and alcohol use is not always an emotional regulation strategy. Sometimes we consume these substances as a part of socializing or a ritual, but more often than we realize is these substances are used to just increase our positive emotions or to decrease our negative emotions. And we sometimes feel stuck that I just need a drink and not able to address what's going on at the deep end. When we use substances as emotional regulation tools, we actually do ourselves more harm than good, because we aren't really learning other ways to increase our positive emotions or decrease negative emotions. We can become reliant on these substances to regulate our emotions for us, and that's a dangerous game, as we know. Self-harm. Non-suicidal self-harm is actually considered to be maladaptive, unhealthy emotional regulation strategy. Although many people are shocked to discover people deliberately hurt themselves, there are many more socially acceptable versions of self-harm that we forget. For example, a man may punch a wall when he's upset, hurting his hand, or someone may get a tattoo in an effort to just feel something. Although it is unclear whether these different types of self-harm share some common emotional undertones, there are research that suggests that self-harm is frequently practiced in the context of intense, overwhelming negative emotions and has been shown to reduce negative emotions and alter physiology in ways that induces a sense of calm. So it is inconclusive, and I'm here to share only that there are healthier ways. And I believe that together, if we support each other and help each other and educate ourselves, we can learn and practice the healthy ways. Next, and the most important way, is the expressive suppression. Expressive suppression The unhealthy way, expressive suppression or hiding the expression of our emotions on our face, is one way we attempt to squash our emotions. Unfortunately, this strategy just doesn't work. We actually end up increasing or activating negative emotions and do ourselves more harm than good. Avoidance. Experiential avoidance tends to be an unhealthy emotional regulation strategy. Basically, we try to avoid the situation or experiences that we know will cause the negative emotion. Perhaps we are afraid to deal with it or to address it. So what we do, we avoid it. Maybe we have social anxiety, so we just avoid people. Or maybe we're just insecure, so we avoid doing things where we might think that we might fail. But by avoiding situations, we avoid key experiences that can make life more enjoyable for us. I do believe there is a caveat here though. Sometimes it's okay to avoid. In fact, it can be beneficial to avoid, let's say, abusive relationships or end friendships that hurt our self-esteem, and to avoid foods that put us in a bad mood. The goal here is to be thoughtful about what you're avoiding and to be clear on whether it's helping you in both short term and long term. I hope this video was useful to you. We absolutely love making these videos so that we can build a better tomorrow. We can all be more self-aware and be our bestest, grandest selves. Thank you for all the love, support and encouragement. We feel eternally grateful. From the entire Happiness is Love team, keep smiling, keep shining, keep inspiring.